Today we're going to make a steel fire pit. This fire pit will be made out of a series of hexagonal frames. I'll put drawings with measurements on my website. I use 3/8 diameter and 7/16 diameter steel rod that I cut with my angle grinder. Now this is only my second welding project and I'm still not very good at it, so I want to figure out a way to make a jig so that the welding part would be a little bit easier. A hexagon is comprised of 6 120-degree angles. 120 degrees is just 30 degrees more than a 90-degree angle, and is an angle that I can cut easily on my compound miter saw. So I cut some 3/4 inch thick plywood at a 30-degree angle. I want to be able to weld the pieces from both sides, so I trimmed off the corner of the piece that I cut at a 30-degree angle. I then screwed some additional pieces of plywood together to make a jig that would hold the steel rod in place. I used my drill and a jigsaw to cut away a little bit more of the bottom piece of plywood to create even more access to the joint. I then placed the steel rod into the jig and started welding the pieces together 2 at a time. I then welded the pieces together to make the first hexagonal frame. In total I made 4 of these frames. The biggest one has 22-inch long sides, 2 of them have 12-inch long sides, and the smallest one has just 6-inch long sides. The smallest hexagonal frame will serve as the bottom of the fire basket, so I cut some 1/4 inch steel rod and welded a grate to it. I used some scrap pieces of 2x4 to get the frames in the right position, and then field measured and cut additional rods to go in between them. I then welded the bottom 12-inch frame to the 22-inch frame. Once the frame was tacked together, I flipped it over, used a wire brush to clean up the joints, and then did a little bit more welding to reinforce the joints. My cuts aren't always that accurate, so I used my angle grinder to trim the pieces that were a little bit too long. I then placed the bottom piece of the fire pit over the fire basket and then cut and welded pieces to them. For the smaller diameter rods, I actually find that it's easier and faster to cut them with a pair of bolt cutters. Now I know these are some pretty rough welds and I'd really like to see a pro welder take a crack at this project. I was, however, able to weld, cut, and grind my way into something that I thought looked pretty cool. The whole thing weighs about 35 pounds and is pretty easy to move. The wood was a little bit on the damp side, so I gave it a nice, generous dose of lighter fluid. I really like how portable this design is. I've already tried it in a few different locations and it's holding up really nicely. I'll post drawings with the measurements that I use, but I think this could be made in a variety of different sizes. I would love to see someone make a really tall one that would almost serve as like a torch or lighthouse along a lake or ocean. I took mine to the beach and it was really cool to see water going underneath the fire. For more detailed instructions, check out my website, and if you want to see what I'm working on next, be sure to follow me on Instagram. Check out some of our other videos, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thanks. Bye.